From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the Business, Equity, and Opportunities Podcast with Scott Sander.
Welcome to the Business, Equity, and Opportunities Podcast. I'm Scott Sander. On this episode, in This Week in Business, Jane King drops in to update on us the stock market and what's happening that affects your world. Tips and information you can use as you hire your staff. Coming up in our industry focus, we talk to a local orthodontist as more people put a shine on their smiles and it keeps them healthy. That's next on our Business, Equity, and Opportunities show.
Every business is unique and has a target audience. If you own or manage a business, Circulus Digital Media can help you connect and grow your customer base with turnkey digital solutions that are nimble, offering best-in-class results, service, and support to reach a bigger customer base, allowing you to pinpoint a specific audience down to the smallest details. Get outside the city, the state, span the globe. Put Circulus Digital Media to work for you. Get started now at circulusdigital.com. That's circulusdigital.com.
With Credit Karma, finding the right credit card for you is easy. Our app analyzes user profiles to suggest personalized recommendations. Visit creditkarma.com today to explore cards tailored to your needs. Credit Karma, simplifying your financial choices.
Welcome back to Business, Equity, and Opportunities. This is a big week on the calendar for This Week in Business. We watch news, of course, every week here on the show, but Jane King often joins us when things reach that sort of critical moment nationally, internationally, with financial news that really does directly affect small business owners as well. Jane, it's not a surprise at all that the Fed bumped interest rates significantly once again. As a small business owner, entrepreneur, somebody who's already got a business underway, what are the things we should be thinking about?
Yeah, well, so the Fed has been on this just march of raising interest rates this year, and it's because we've been seeing these inflation numbers that have been at 40-year highs. So by raising interest rates, they're trying to slow that down a little bit. Really, they're making debt more expensive, and it's working. I mean, we've seen mortgage rates go up. Credit card interest rates are now averaging right about 18%. That's the highest since 1996, according to bank rates. So any kind of debt, especially those short-term loans like credit cards and those kind of personal loans sometimes that people get to fund their businesses, are going up. So that's part of this cycle that we're in right now economically. So as a small business owner, you just got to watch your spending even more and try to only take out debt when possible. It's just another one of a long line of things I feel like we've seen since 2020 that's been difficult for small business owners. We had the pandemic, and then we had the labor shortage, and now we've seen rising interest rates as well.
And we talk a lot about, on Business, Equity, and Opportunities, access to capital. At some point you need money, and when you need it, and may not matter what the interest rates are at that moment. So give us a little historical, overarching perspective here. The game is to try to figure out when the numbers might go back down. We don't know the answer to that, but inevitably these things do ebb and flow, correct?
They do, except we've been really low for a long period of time.
Yes.
Really since the financial crisis, interest rates have been low. So the fact that we're not even really kind of where we would historically normally be yet. And so that's why many people think the Federal Reserve will keep raising interest rates maybe another % or two before they kind of take a step back and see where we are with inflation and where the economy is and so forth. So interest rates still historically are very low. It's just hard to take when we've been used to sometimes near zero in recent years.
We turn the calendar page in terms of the seasons here in the last few days, from summer to fall. Is it too early to start thinking about what the holiday may look like from a business perspective? We have so many people who are potentially talking about entering the service industries or perhaps entertainment and also people producing things they might want to sell around the holidays. How do the holidays look so far?
Yeah, so I don't think in terms of like investing it's ever too early. I feel like we started talking about this in like July. Right. But there have been some projections already that it won't be as good as last year. Now, it's been kind of a weird few years because 2020, we didn't do any traveling. There was hardly anybody celebrating. Last year, then, a lot of people were buying again because we could go out, stores were open, and I think holiday sales were up like 15, 18% or something. Now they're going to be more normal, like up 4%. we still are seeing a trend toward people investing in experiences instead of stuff. So that's been going on for a couple of years. A trip, maybe a movie, maybe something together as a family, a class, or something like that. So those kind of gifts seem popular again this year. We're also seeing, interestingly, some of these retailers do their seasonal hiring, and they're being more cautious this year. Walmart, for example, is hiring 40,000 people for the holidays. Last year, I believe, was 150,000. Now, they made a big hire last year because they were trying to kind of get through the supply chain, make sure they had enough people to get everything out and distributed and where it needed to be for the holidays. So a big drop. So I feel like a lot of the, especially retailers, are being more cautious going into the holidays this year.
Interesting observation. A moment, if you will, about the CHIPS Act. This has been interesting because it's gotten support from both sides of the political aisle. Indiana Senator Todd Young was one of the spearheads in the congressional side. Biden administration has embraced it as well. What do you see about Indiana's opportunities with this?
It does. So a lot of our computer chips are made overseas, and that's put us in a bit of a bind, particularly the auto industry. They haven't been able to finish the cars because they need those computer chips. Cars are like computers on wheels anymore these days. And so there's a big effort to bring that home and to bring the chip manufacturing home. Intel's building a couple of huge facilities. There's some others as well. And the CHIPS Act could have a big impact on Indiana. Now, I know Purdue has started a new major just for semiconductors and chips. And there's also a big effort to try to bring some of that. I think it's like $52 billion that's going to be spent. And they're trying to set up hubs across the country where these chips would be built and manufactured and distributed. And Indiana is trying to be one of those. So there's a big effort underway to try to get a lot of that into the Hoosier State.
Maybe some supplier opportunities, other things like that. Jane, you always give us so many good things to think about, particularly in a week when money got more expensive. It's good to have your expertise both from NASDAQ and from a small business owner like yourself. Jane King, thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. It is time for This Week in Business and part two of a conversation that started on last week's episode. It's with Lacey Houle from the Department of Labor about a critically important topic for kids, for parents, and for all of the small business owners that we talk to each week. Lacey, thanks for being with us to refresh everybody's memory from last week. You've had this campaign going on about child labor safety, specific to the food industry. Remind us what that's all about.
Yeah, so we're here just to promote compliance, obviously, for employers, but then also educate the workers, the minors, and their parents on what the protections and what the laws are that we have in place for them.
You, for instance, have had to do investigations about violations, and they can be very dangerous in some cases and quite chilling in their details. As we focus on food safety, there is, for instance, maybe from another industry, another sector, a story that can serve as a cautionary tale. You, if you will, share us what you can about a 16-year-old girl pressed into service as a forklift driver to a very negative consequence.
Yeah, so I personally had to investigate an employer where a 16-year-old was operating a forklift, which is definitely prohibited under one of the hazardous occupations that we have. And so that is partly why we're here to promote education on these laws, because the agency does take this very seriously, child labor laws. Let's
dive a little more deeply into a couple of the issues that you raised last week. Breaking it down this time by age groups, there are, for instance, some very specific rules for anybody 17 and older. And there's a broad range, of course, of child ages and maturity levels. But let's talk with that 17 and under group. What leaps out for you?
Yeah, so there's some hours work restrictions for 14 and 15-year-olds, and that's one of the common violations that we do see, where the 14 and 15-year-olds can work no more than 3 hours on a school day, and that also includes Fridays. And so for 16 and 17-year-olds under federal law, they can work unlimited hours, like I said, for federal law, but they, as long as they're not working in a hazardous occupation. So when employers or small business owners to be mindful is that the laws do differ from state law to federal law. And so obviously the more law that's more strict is what we want the employer to go by. So most of the time that probably will be federal law, but like I said, there are some differentiations there that they need to be aware of.
And there are so many very specific rules. that I honestly think a lot of business owners might not even know to think about, let alone look up. This was interesting to me, and I found this from the online resources that we've now made available through BEOshow.com, through your website work as well. The dangerous jobs might not necessarily be what immediately we think. For instance, you speak to a bakery owner who thinks, I have a 15-year-old on my staff. I'm following the rules for hours. I want them to be safe. Let's have them mix the batter. Well, the batter mixer, for instance, might be dangerous, and they're prohibited from that, correct?
Yes, they are. And so that's, we have several examples on our website that go into great detail into our laws and regulations, and even PowerPoints and videos online that employers can view to make sure that they are in compliance.
Yeah, so a couple of the other interesting ones that leapt out at me, if you're at a deli, the kids can't be the ones slicing the meat. That's got to go to an adult. No driving, which may seem innocuous enough. Send the 17-year-old who's proudly in possession of a driver's license out on the errand. They can't be doing that kind of driving as a member of the business representing the business. So these online resources are so very critical. I do have to say what I like about them is you can get wonderfully lost in them. You can spend the whole day answering questions that you might have and finding out new questions that you may never have thought to ask. Is this what we'd call sort of like a living set of links, things that you guys add to as more and new information comes along?
Yeah, so we'll put that on our website, and then obviously as new information comes along, we pass that out. And then we do have experts that are standing by where you can contact us directly, and at the Indiana public phone line, or we even have a national phone line where we have over 200 languages that can be spoken to the public for assistance, because every situation is going to be different. And so just by reading something online, there might be more questions that need to be asked in order to know if we do have compliance or not. And so by speaking to one of our experts online or through the public phone line can certainly help employers.
In the business owners that I've talked to, there are certain agencies that are a bit intimidating. The IRS is one of them. Perhaps the food inspectors are another. And initially, the Department of Labor may seem to some like that. Should people be intimidated by this whole process, or do you want to be there to help to make sure a question doesn't turn into a problem?
Exactly. We for sure want to be there to help. And so through experience, once employers have gone through an investigation, they relay the message to me that that's, wasn't as bad as what they thought. And so I think more employers are happy that we're here to provide these resources and to help them to be in compliance, because a lot of employers and even the general public, they don't even know what the wage hour division does. And so by us promoting and helping them get to that compliance, especially new business owners, I think it's just a tool in their toolbox that can help benefit them. And
again, great links from you guys. We'll put them on BEOshow.com as well so people can get them at their fingertips. Lacey Houle with the Department of Labor, thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. In today's Industry Focus, we visit with a local orthodontist who uses her skills and her team to build relationships and change lives.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. Industry Focus.
Dr. Samantha Jones is a product of the IU School of Dentistry who mastered in orthodontics. After practicing in Fishers for several years, she opened her own practice in 2007. We asked her to share her thoughts on the growing dental industry, specifically specialty practices.
My name is Dr. Samantha Jones, and I am the owner of J Orthodontics, a private practice that does orthodontics. Well, I started out as a dental hygienist. And then was a general dentist, and decided I wanted to pursue orthodontics. When you're a mom, a wife, a business owner, you have to try to balance all that, and your staff, and just to make sure the patients are taken care of. So that's not one of the biggest, but it's a hurdle you have to continuously jump through to try to, to balance everything. In the morning, we get set up for patients. We usually have a morning huddle, and we talk about the day and how the patients are going to be treated, making sure we have everything we need for each patient. And then we start seeing patients. We start bringing them back, talking about treatment, doing what we need to do, making the adjustments we need to do for the day. What I like to do with our new hires is I like them to learn each position and monitor or watch or another assistant, and then as they learn the procedures, they are watched, and until they feel comfortable and they know the process of our office, are they allowed to go ahead and proceed with the procedures. Treatment times are cut back due to technology. For me, it allows for proficiency. You don't have to have as many people doing different things. It kind of cuts down on time. It cuts down on patient chair time, where you're able to treat patients more efficiently and in a more timely manner. So I've seen how someone's whole demeanor changed when they came back after, healing from a procedure. I had a patient that went through orthodontics. It was an orthodontic surgery case, and it turned out really well, and he was very, very happy, and came in and did a dance for us and brought us gifts, and was very emotional and very happy with his end result. We have, the metal braces. The kids still like the metal braces. They like the colors. We used to have the more aesthetic braces that are more closer to the tooth color. And we also, do the Invisalign, which is, the clear trays, or a different type of aligner system. So there's a choice that you can be more aesthetic, or you can be more like the crowd and like to change the colors with your friends and coordinate colors with your outfits. It just depends on the patient's personality and where they are. How many colors do the braces come in? Well, there's not the braces come in colors, the ties come in different colors. Yeah, there's 20, 30, multitude of colors. Yeah, just pick one or two or three, whichever, how many ever the patient wants. We do it. My patients are fun. Sometimes they don't even know how they make my day, We like to have a good time with our patients. We want them to be comfortable. We want to treat them like family. We spend a lot of time with these patients. Sometimes they're with us 2, 3, 4 years. Especially we do 2 phases of treatment. Sometimes it can be 4 to 5 years. So we establish a pretty tight relationship. So we like to have a good time. Working with the ladies I work with, we're like family, so we like to enjoy each other's company and laugh with the patients, make sure they're comfortable, and when patients get their braces off, they're super excited, and it makes us excited, and it makes us feel good at the end of the day. A lot of offices have real cute character type themes, so I just wanted one that went with the kids and adults. And Africa was one of my dream places to go, and I enjoy animals, and so this is what we came up with. Do your research. Do your research, connect with a banker. You got to check your demographics. That would be the biggest thing. Just do your research, connect with a banker, get a great broker, and it's going to be intimidating, but you just work through that. If you get the right people around you, you'll be just fine.
Our thanks again to all the contributors who joined us for this episode of the Business Equity and Opportunities podcast. We hope you found it enlightening, useful, and inspiring. You'll find more information about the show on our website, BEOshow.com. You can watch Business Equity and Opportunities Sunday mornings at 10 on Wish TV, or live stream it through wishtv.com. Each week, we provide 7 full segments with topics ranging from how to get started and how to access capital to the day-to-day running of your business and questions about accounting and bookkeeping. We feature business news and trends and always share a success story from one of our contributors. Join us next time for more insights into the world of small business. Be sure to sign up for our Business Equity and Opportunities newsletter to get even more valuable, up-to-date information. And if you have any questions or you'd like to be part of our show, please email us. The address is beo@wishtv.com. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Scott Sander. Thanks for listening.
Watch the Business Equity and Opportunity Show on Wish TV and access all of our content and share it on demand anytime at BEOshow.com. You can find more podcasts from Wish TV on the All Indiana Podcast Network at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.